And let's say hello to Tony Khan. He is the founder and the guy who runs the show at AEW. Welcome in, Tony. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
We're doing great, man. We've got some Jaguar stuff that we'll throw at you later, but we definitely got to focus in on you guys coming back to Daly's place tomorrow night. I talked to JR. He's going to be on with us tomorrow. We're all fired up. It's cool to come back to the home base, is it not?
It's awesome to come back to Jacksonville, which is the home base of AEW. It's where it all began, and it's going to be a really historic show. This is the final Dynamite going into the Revolution pay-per-view, so a lot of exciting stuff is going to happen. And I have a huge announcement coming on the show that I'm really excited about. So for the fans who like being there for momentous events, this is going to be one of those events. And hopefully the people who come to the show will remember it for a long time.
Tony,
and
I just wanted to tell you, you are consistently averaging over 1 million viewers on TBS since the beginning of the year. AEW has got so much going for it right now. Like you said, a big announcement tomorrow night on Dynamite. You got the huge show in Orlando. This is the go-home show, at least the Dynamite version, going in to what's going to be a huge weekend. But I got to tell you, watching wrestling as long as I've watched it, the thing you have going on right now between MJF and CM Punk, to me, is one of the best wrestling storylines that we've had, regardless of company, in quite some time. You guys should be very, very proud of what's going on there, because every wrestling fan I know cannot get enough of that.
Thank you very much. It's tremendous what's happening with Max and Punk right now. When Punk came back to pro wrestling, he said he wanted to wrestle the best young wrestlers. And he's come back and wrestled a mix. He's wrestled some of the best young wrestlers, and he's wrestled some of the best veterans. And he's had great matches with young wrestlers like Darby Allin, Daniel Garcia, and, of course, MJF. And, some of the best veterans like Eddie Kingston and Matt Sydal and Bobby Fish. But MJF and CM Punk, I mean, talk about charisma. There's just chemistry with these two guys. And I really believe their match at the pay-per-view is one of the most anticipated pro wrestling matches in America in a long time for this dog collar match, Punk versus MJF. And we'll hear from them for the last time going into the pay-per-view here at Dynamite. It's just a great opportunity for the fans here in Jacksonville. If you're in the area and listening, we're doing the show at Daly's Place, downtown Jacksonville tomorrow. If you've been to the show before, you probably know Daly's Place is the best place in America to watch a wrestling show. Jacksonville has become the premier wrestling city over the last couple of years with all the great matches we've had here at Daly's Place, and this will be no exception. And we used to be here every single week, week in, week out. We were living here and based out of here through the pandemic. We've gone back on tour, and like you were saying, the show has been so successful since it moved to TBS. I wanted to do the final episode ever on TNT here in Jacksonville, so that's how I scheduled it. And then when the show moved to TBS, we've done 8 episodes, I think. And so far, every week, we've been in the top 3 shows on cable nationwide. And it's not just in America. We're top show in Canada. We are by far the number 1 wrestling show in the United Kingdom, in England, much, much ahead of WWE in the UK. And so we have this great audience around the world. And I love bringing the focus to Jacksonville and bringing the focus to Daly's Place and the eyes of the wrestling world. And a lot of honestly, the professional sports world are going to be on Jacksonville this week because there are AEW fans all over the world that are going to be watching Wednesday night in Jacksonville.
All right, Tony, a couple things. You can't come on with your boys on primetime and drop a bomb like that saying you got something big coming up. Not at least give us a hint. That's number 1. And number 2, explain how you started this company, this business organically, and how it became so successful. Like, this isn't something you just stumbled into. This is work. You put some work into this thing.
Yeah, I've spent years building this business. Well, for a hint about what's big to come this week, I would say that I can't give too much away because I still want to do a big audience have a lot of people watching this. So without saying too much about what I'm going to announce, I would just say that it's a very significant announcement in the wrestling business. And it's going to make a big difference and hopefully affect a lot of people. And as far as the work that went into building this company, I came up with the idea. It's probably something in the back of my mind I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid, run a wrestling company. But I actually got focused on it in 2018. I was in LA. I was at a party in Beverly Hills, and I saw my friend who was the president of TBS and TNT. And, I pretty much went up to him and told him, I think I could do something really special with you guys.
Nice.
And I'd love to launch a wrestling company. I would book the matches. I would, write the TV shows and build the cards. And I think we could just have so many fans and really build a big business. And they were interested, but it was over a year of conversations after that. So it was a lot of work, a lot of meetings, a lot of pitches, and then tons of work building this roster that we put together, which is as strong a roster as any wrestling company in the world.
We're talking with Tony Khan. We've got a chance for you to win tickets once we say goodbye to Tony. AEWTix.com is where you can go, and I'm looking. There's plenty of opportunities to get up close and watch tomorrow night with AEW Dynamite. So the last time we had you on, Tony, you said you'd like to be more involved with the Jaguars, and since then we all know a coach has been hired. So let's dig in on a couple of Jaguar thoughts, and then we'll get back to wrestling. I was surprised, I'll admit it, when your father said that he heard the search went well towards the end, that you were very involved. Doug Peterson mentioned you being very involved. How involved were you in the coaching hire for the Jaguars?
Well, I was in all the interviews. I think there was one I missed, and we ended up doing a second interview with him, which was Matt. When we did the second interview with Matt, it was because the first one was on a Wednesday. So it was during Dynamite, so I wasn't there. And so I wanted to meet him, and that was why we scheduled a second one there. And had a few great meetings with Doug, and interviewed a lot of great coaches all over the country. Some on Zoom and Microsoft Teams online, and some in person. And it was a great process. My dad was able to meet so many great coaches, and I think we learned a lot. I think there were a lot of great candidates in this cycle, but Doug Peterson had qualifications and experience that nobody else had. And I think that's what made him an ideal candidate. Doug was actually the very first person we talked to, and we cast a very wide net, talked to a lot of candidates, a diverse group. And in the end, I think Doug fit everything we were looking for, where there's no other coaches out there that have recently led their team to a Super Bowl, have so much experience as a play caller and working with quarterbacks, developing quarterbacks. And of course, Doug also has played in the NFL and understands a lot of the challenges the players face firsthand. So he just had so many great things that he brought to the table. Yeah, it was a really good search, I think, and I'm just so happy that Doug is here now.
Tony, obviously there was some news made today. Your dad released a statement that the EVP is not going to happen, at least right now, and the reports are that he's been very impressed with Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson. Can you speak to that? Obviously, you've been in the building as well at times, just the relationship between Trent and Doug moving forward, because it appears to be, as of right now, their show.
Yeah, we have a great thing going right now. I think Trent and Doug have really taken the ball and run with it, and Doug has gotten settled in the office. And I think seeing Doug and Trent working together and the vibe that we have in the office right now, I felt like Dad thinks he's got what he needs right now in terms of having a great head coach who is going to work with our quarterback, help develop him, a head coach who's going to be a great play caller, but also a great leader and can bring so much experience to our building. and then with Trent handling personnel. And I think, I plan to work with both guys very closely also. So I think we have a great group of people right now. And once Dad kind of saw the vibe in the office and how smoothly everything was running, I think he feels very strongly about the group of people we have, including Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke and all the awesome people we have in our office right now.
Tony, so you'll be doing some of that EVP stuff even, right? I mean, that's some of that work that typically would be going to that spot. You'll be taking on some of that, right? And that's what it sounds like to me anyway.
Well, I am an executive in the office, and I think we have a great group of people, and absolutely, I love working with Trent and Doug, and look forward to continuing that for a long time.
A few more for Tony Khan. You can definitely check him out on social media at Tony Khan, and then of course AEW with Dynamite tomorrow night at Daly's Place. Can you give us maybe one example of what has impressed you the most about Doug in your time with him to this point?
Yeah, absolutely, I can. I think the connection he's made with Trevor in a very short time. Within hours of taking the job here, Doug had been in contact with our quarterback, and I think has built a rapport with him in a very short time, and that bodes really well for this city. It's no secret that this franchise and this city have made a big investment in Trevor Lawrence, and I think it's one of the best investments we've all ever made. And Doug Peterson has the experience, the knowledge of the position to really help Trevor and help him become a better NFL quarterback. And so I think he's taken that bull by the horns from day one, and that's awesome.
Tony, you're on social media. You interact. I thought what you did to Florio a couple weeks ago was absolutely outstanding when that whole Congress thing came up. That was superb on your part. I'll say that. I got such a chuckle out of that. But, I mean, Jaguar fans really like you and really want you to be involved. I would imagine, if nothing else, that's humbling, because obviously social media can be a mean, nasty place, yet they really seem to like Tony Khan.
Well, I appreciate that. And I know, it's tough for the fans when the team hasn't always won. And I have always tried to stay positive. And the things I do work on with statistics, I think we've done some good things, and the fans do appreciate that. And, there's no more intelligent group of people, in my opinion, than sports fans. And it's crazy to say that, but I watch, they talk about America, that this country tries to simplify things, that the standards get lower and lower. But for sports fans, I see the standards get higher and higher. I watch the intelligence and the knowledge and the understanding of the sports fan get better and better every year. And so I know that by working hard, people appreciate that stuff. So the things I do focus on, like undrafted free agents, we've dug up good players over the years. James Robinson is an excellent find, and that's somebody I signed in undrafted free agency. And Corey Grant, I think, was a really good player for us, again, at running back before he got injured, who was a guy I found as an undrafted free agent. And there's been a number of other good players and defensive backs like Trey Herndon, Jared Wilson, who was a really good player for us for a long time. And even guys who didn't stick on the team, like Mike Hilton, who plays for the Bengals, who's their starting nickel corner, is a guy who I signed, I think, for like a $5,000 bonus and got cut. Wow. So I love that part of it. That Saturday of the NFL draft, one of my favorite days of the year. And I just love the fans. It's going to be my 11th season here, and I just want us to win for them. So it is a very mutual feeling. I really love the Jaguars fans very much.
Hey, Tony, a couple quick house cleaning things. Number one, can you give us an update on the football facility? Where breaking ground, I guess, apparently soon, and what it looks like as far as the process. And number two, the idea of 2 games in London. Is that now off the table, or do you think that eventually will come back?
Well, the 2 games in London, I don't see right now To be honest, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I don't know. I think right now the focus is on Jacksonville because my dad is putting such a commitment into the city in terms of development and now doing more improvements around the stadium and specifically the football facility you just mentioned. I don't have exact dates on everything. Mark Lamping is really the guy on that. Right. I'm sure you guys know that. Mm-hmm. So as far as the scheduling and timeline for everything, Mark Lamping would probably be the best guy to ask because that's his baby.
But you feel good about only one game in London right now for foreseeable future?
That's not up to me, and I'm not sure, but I know that we're doing a lot of stuff around here in Jacksonville and the commitment we're making. I think, certainly it's not up to me, and I don't know, but I know we're doubling down committing here in Jack. So I'm not sure what that is going to be, but obviously for a while it wasn't viable to play at all overseas, and this year we went back over for the one game, and that's been good for us, the one game. So I'm not sure where that'll fall.
We've got some tickets to give away, so we're going to get you to pump up the fans for AEW Dynamite tomorrow night. But we do want you, if you can go from the undrafted to maybe have you taken a look at the tackle class with that first pick overall, Tony? Have you looked at that side of the draft? Because that's going to be a tough choice to make at the top.
Yeah, the top of the draft is an exciting group. This week is the NFL Combine, so we'll be getting lots of information. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year as a statistician and somebody who loves football data. And we accumulate so much data this week at the Combine. There's so many measurements and physical trials that the players go through. So we're going to have thousands and thousands of new data points coming out of this week, and we'll learn more and more about the players and keep evaluating.
There's 24 hours in the life of everybody, maybe except Tony Khan, when you got Fulham, you got AEW, and you got the Jaguars. I can't even imagine what your schedule is like. That includes AEW Dynamite tomorrow night, Daly's Place, the Go Home Dynamite show. I know you'll have Rampage on Friday, but you got a big weekend in Orlando with the pay-per-view. Tony, what can people expect tomorrow night at Daly's Place for AEW Dynamite?
If anybody comes to Daly's Place tomorrow, expect a really memorable show and a great experience. It's a fun time at the matches. It's very safe. If anybody's worried about being jammed up next to a bunch of people indoors, it's actually an outdoor amphitheater. It's going to be a beautiful night, and it's the best place to watch a wrestling show. I think if you've been before, you know what I'm talking about, and tomorrow night would be a great time to come back. And if you've never been, just trust me on this. You want to see it. The tickets are very reasonably priced, and I promise it's a fun time at the matches. And I always look to make Jacksonville a premium stop for AEW on our tours. I always put big stuff here in Jacksonville because this is our home, and we would not be here right now without Jacksonville in this great city.
It's true. All right, man. Listen, we appreciate it. Hope to visit soon. Hope to be down there one of these days when you guys put the schedule back together, coming back down to Daily Space. But we always appreciate your time, Tony.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully see everybody tomorrow night at Daly's Place for the wrestling matches.
All right, buddy. Thank you.